In Course 2, we're going to talk about the assessment and recruitment of potential confidential informants, picking up where we finished in Course 1 with the use of the recruitment proposition diagram to develop a successful CI recruitment strategy. Be advised, some of your departments have policy requiring that 2 agents or officers be present for every CI meeting. You need to do the research and find out if that policy dictates that 2 agent or officer requirement starts on initial contact with the PCI or after they're a registered informant or somewhere in between. Here's what's on the agenda for Course 2. Potential confidential informant motivations, defendant confidential informants, what next after selecting a PCI for further assessment and recruitment, conducting surveillance for your initial approach interview of your PCI, 1 assessment interview with your PCI, use of the recruitment proposition diagram, data input from the PCI profile report and PCI interviews, initiating communication protocol with your PCI, 1 recruitment proposition interview with your PCI, how to get through the recruitment threshold. The job you need your PCI to perform is your recruitment proposition. After picking up Rappaport in the target parking lot, you proceed to the other side of the lot to conduct your initial interview. You are going to conduct the interview of Michelle Rappaport in the target parking lot with the goal of collecting as much assessment data as possible for your future recruitment proposition diagram. You will recruit Rappaport as a confidential informant provided she has access to what you need and is able and willing to be a CI. So just have a conversation, build rapport, find common interests between the 2 of you, and do your best to determine what drives Rappaport to get out of bed every day. This initial interview is a fine line to walk with a potential CI. You must give information to get information, but you want to be as careful as possible about revealing specific details of your investigation in the automotive parts, sales, and salvage industry. You need to have a strategy to acquire additional intelligence on the automotive parts industry while simultaneously collecting as much new assessment data on Rappaport toward a recruitment proposition. It is never too early to start training your PCI, but be careful not to overload them verbally with security protocols. In the beginning, your actions speak louder than words. If they see right away how you take precautions when meeting with them, you could avoid some reluctance over safety concerns during a future recruitment proposition. So why did you pick up Rappaport and travel to the other side of the parking lot? This was actually just one last chance to determine if she had any surveillance following her to the meeting. Surveillance detection will be further examined in Course 3, Handling and Development. Let's watch a shortened video of your initial interview with PCI Michelle Rappaport.
Okay, Michelle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Are you really doing good?
Well, I mean, there's just this assignment that I have to work on later, but yeah, I'm fine.
Are we going to have any problems with you getting your assignment completed if we take about 20 minutes of your time here?
No, I'll be okay.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. Michelle, do you have any problems getting here to meet me today?
No, actually, I didn't. I have to meet my mom here later anyway,
So you're meeting your mom here later at the Target?
Oh yeah, we always come to this Target.
Okay, well that'll be good to know. So going forward, we'll just make sure that we're not meeting in the same place where you're meeting a family or friend or associate afterward. Certainly don't want anybody knowing that we're talking to one another. I'm sure you can appreciate that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Michelle, let me ask you, when we spoke on the phone, you had told me that you work at Car and Truck Parts of Houston?
Yes.
Is that the exact title, Car and Truck Parts of Houston?
Yes.
Okay. If you don't mind, can I ask, how did you find and apply for that job, Car and Truck Parts?
Well, I was really kind of struggling, looking for a job, and my mom and dad had seen me struggling, so they reached out to other friends of theirs, and one of them said that they had seen a sign on the side of this building, and I went in there and I applied.
Do you remember who you actually applied with when you got the job?
Yes, it was my boss, Henry.
Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Is Car and Truck Parts, is it a big outfit?
I wouldn't really say so.
I mean, when I say big outfit, are there a lot of employees?
No, not really.
Like maybe 5 employees?
There's 7 of us.
7 that you're aware of. Is that including Henry?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess a smaller outfit. I've driven by it before. It actually looks like a decent sized parts warehouse though.
Yes.
Right? Okay, but there's only 7 employees working there.
Well, yeah, I mean, we all have our parts, and I try to keep it really organized in there, so.
I'm sure you do. Well, that's good that Henry was able to help you out and give you a job since you were kind of having a hard time finding a job. How long have you been working there at Car and Truck Parts?
I want to say it's been around 13 months, or, oh, I know it's been a little over a year.
13 months. What did you do before then?
Well, the thing is, I just got out of prison, so it was really hard for me to find a job. So I just kind of did jobs here and there, and that's kind of been my struggle lately, is that felony.
Okay, so I assume you're talking about your conviction for the cocaine possession?
Yes, it's been really hard for me to find a job because of that.
I imagine so. I actually have a family member who's gone through a similar ordeal. So, but I can tell you, it sounds like you're on the road to recovery. And from what I can see and tell about you before I even showed up here today, I'm not going to hide it from you. I did a little mini background just to make sure that you were someone I thought I could trust to talk about the industry. And personally, Michelle, I mean, everybody makes a mistake, and I think you just kind of got a bum rap. And it looks like you did 2 years incarceration, right?
Yeah, it's being at the wrong place, wrong time.
Never again, though, right?
No, definitely don't want to do that again.
And while we're on topic,
So what did we learn in this interview? Well, first and foremost, we probably don't want to ever meet Michelle in the Target parking lot again, since this is a location her and her mother frequent together. Commonalities between you and Michelle. What did you find out? You found out that, well, you have a family member who's also been through a prison process, just like Michelle. Also, that you both like the Applebee's. Michelle wants to go to college, but also thinks she's going to have a hard time getting a job as a felon. These are all items you want to start developing in the back of your mind for inputting into your recruitment proposition diagram. In the beginning meeting with a potential CI, you want to start developing some type of a contact meeting plan as soon as practical. It'll be easier to implement if you start doing it in your first encounter with a potential CI. So here is an example of how to park after picking up your PCI at a contact location and moving to the meeting location, like here at the Sprouts Farmers Market. As you can see, there is one recommended location to park where it says park like this in red. Once again, you want to park amongst several vehicles in plain sight. These other vehicles that are surrounding you in the yellow car actually provide a level of concealment for you and your CI. Let's take a look at the northwest corner of the parking lot on the left side of the Guitar Center. This would be an example of something not to do. I've done this in my career, and I don't know why, but for some reason a lot of agents and officers feel like parking off in the distance behind Walmart or a grocery store is a good idea. The problem is every car that drives back behind the store takes a look at you to see what you're doing, right? Even the vehicle that's over on the far northeast corner, kind of on the edge of the parking lot between the gray and the pink, this is also an example of something not to do. This vehicle is sitting off all by itself. Anybody that walks out to this parking lot from one of the stores or drives by is going to take notice of this vehicle sitting by itself. And lastly, the vehicle that's on the far bottom right, over by the Sprint store, once again, an example of what not to do. This vehicle is backed in, and that's not something you want to do when you're in a parking lot with your CI. It kind of shouts I'm law enforcement, to be honest with you. One other thing to consider is it's okay to actually park at the end of a lot, provided you're actually not backed in. And if you're going to park at the end of the lot and your CI is going to be on the outboard portion of the parking lot, just make sure there's some shrubs, some other structure, maybe a brick wall or something that actually shields them from the rest of the public.